what the hell? And it's because YouTube doesn't want you to see your daily amount of subscribers, or I don't know. They want you to use the analytics to figure it out or whatever. It's really bullshit because, I mean, they're trying to cover up the shenanigans that the management had been playing with the YouTube website for a long time, for about a year now. Hello, caller.
Hey, what's up, MOX? This is Matthew Manage, and I've been a fan of your channel for a hot minute and whatnot.
Hey, Matthew.
Coincidentally enough, I'm a creator as well, and I speak too much truth. I'm a little bit out there and such, but I was just making a video on how my own comments on my own videos are not showing up.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy. And so that's the thing is, you know too much truth, and they're censoring us. Doesn't matter which side of the fence we're on, and us just being journalists and such and just sharing information, that makes us the enemy. And sorry for going on a tangent, but that's just want to show support and like, hey, everything you're saying, like I'm going through too.
Yeah, it's horrible. I don't understand. It's like YouTube doesn't appreciate the people they serve in any way, shape, or form. It's like, no, we're in charge. Doesn't matter what you think. I wish there was some kind of alternative that actually that worked properly.
So what's happened is, we recreated YouTube. YouTube became, big because of creators, people just sharing and whatnot. Right after Napster and stuff, people developed a new way to share content and everything. And what's happened is that these creators, they start selling out to it's all about the money. And YouTube celebrities and such. And because people have become entitled due to this, and they're protecting their own assets and liabilities, but it's not for the common person, and anything that distracts from the actual attention of the concerned public. I mean, you never see anything important in your in the trending videos. It's always some giant lipstick or how to whatever how to make a sandwich or whatever it is. Or it's never anything like regarding the news or we just dropped in September we dropped the most munitions in Afghanistan since 2010 in just 1 month. I mean, in a single month since 2010. So, yeah.
When did that happen?
In September 2019, we just dropped over 900, almost 1,000 munitions in a single month. And the last time that happened in a single month, it was just over 1,000, just under 1,100, and that was in 2010. And sorry for going on a tangent. And to get onto the vaping, the title and whatnot. The problem is it's not with our CBD oils and THC. It's these people that are have these big tanks, vaping tanks, and they're filling their lungs with this vapor, essentially giving themselves an pneumonia. It's not from us using the cannabis oil and such. These people are using liquids and putting it into their lungs, and that's causing all these illnesses. It's not from me taking up my oil. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that they're jumping right back. They're using the vape to jump right back to the reefer madness stuff. Saying, but also honestly, I have a flower press, right? So I press all my own flowers, so I know what's in my oil. I know what it is that I'm smoking. I'm not buying a cartridge and then trusting that it's filled with something proper,
Yes.
So, and I think that's really, and I'm going to make a video about that, the safest way to, vape, cannabis concentrates.
That's actually a good idea, because that's something I'm not familiar with. And, with the whole vaping industry, with the cartridges and stuff of that nature, they usually use like a metal element or something.
Right.
And the thing is that metal element becomes carcinogen because it, vaporizing a heavy metal.
That's what I've never. That's the one thing that I ever since I started, the very first pen I got, all of them that I've seen, they've all had, metal. And I mean, it seems to me that heating up metal is gonna have some kind of like a release of some kind of compounds that you don't really want to be inhaling,
Oh, I mean, you look at it, a light bulb and whatnot. Why did they burn out? Because the element burns out.
Right.
And like it starts to degrade over time.
Right.
And, so and whenever we heat something up, I was just, actually, made a video about triple flint of water and everything like that. And, how everything has its, different points of matter. And, when you start heating things up, they can become gaseous or release, gaseous, fumes. And then when they solidify, they become, carcinogens or become, stuck in one's lungs or in the body.
Sure. No, I've always questioned the metal that's being used, the heating up of the metal. It seems like you have to get some kind of a different element, ceramic or something.
Right.
But
because I used I used to have one of those box vaporizers, and I used a ceramic element, one of those. But you're just drawing hot air over the flour and inhale it.
Right.
Essentially it's hydrated.
Right.
And that's like primarily. I mean, that's why I think it's the best way because you don't want to combust it.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened is that we're not actually vaporizing it. We're actually combusting things.
Right, I agree. It's you're heating it up so hot that it's actually burning. It's actually burning. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's carbonized and whatnot.
Yeah.
Whereas,
so, but the real question is I'm not asking if vape should be banned or what is the bad part of it. It's really in my own opinion.
Yes.
And the thing is, I've read so many people that have said that they've gotten off cigarettes with these devices, and that getting off cigarettes is a beautiful thing, and they keep talking about, that we have to get rid of the flavors, like somehow, flavor isn't the spice of life, isn't what we're all attracted to. Like only children are attracted to flavor, and they're focusing in on this flavor thing, and then they're adding the THC thing in the back. Today, the FDA recommended that everyone stop vaping any THC products. Did you see that?
Oh, I've been seeing it. The FDA, just like they were trying to ban kratom.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
Right.
I'm sure that, like that's being used. That's better than methadone. It's been used to treat pain, people with insomnia. I mean, so many benefits from it. It's from the coffee plant, and there's so many effects, but it goes against pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah. No, anything that chips away at that, big pharma money, even in a little tiny bit, or apparently the big tobacco money, the big alcohol money, any of that big money that just controls our government. How can you ban fucking vapes and flavors when the cigarettes? I mean, ban nicotine, right? You don't ban. You don't ban flavor. You don't say, "Oh, flavor is bad." That's such a bunch of bullshit. Then why is peppermint schnapps not bad? Why isn't stuff like that bad?
Alcohol is so much worse. Exactly. And they have the four, like energy drink, plus alcohol and stuff that causes a lot of issues to people. And they create the opiate crisis and everything of that nature. And, the thing is, I smoke cigarettes and, I've been trying to, it's one of those things, tug of war type thing.
Yeah.
And, but when I was using, I didn't use like one of those big globe tapes and stuff. I used like one of those, e-cigarettes that actually looked like a cigarette. And so, like, when you pulled on it, it was more, just spitting in the nicotine. And I got the, regular flavor, like the tobacco flavor kind.
Yeah.
But, what you're seeing, the flavored ones, is that maybe like people are becoming not addicted just to the nicotine and stuff, but instead of reaching for a bag of Skittles, there's just inhaling it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And
well, honestly, I was actually very attracted to the idea of vaping because of that reason exactly. Because I thought, well, instead of eating a box of licorice, I could just have a couple of puffs of licorice and I'll be good.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing is sometimes we just need to trick ourselves. Just like they talk about, trying off cigarettes, using lollipops or chewing gum or something like that. And so I'm definitely a believer that, and you know what, vices are vices, and
part of being human. That's part of being top of the food chain.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, if you eat too many freaking apples, you're going to get arsenic poisoning.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, because there's a mild bit of arsenic in apples and whatnot. When you drink too much coffee, freaking, it causes issues and such.
Yeah.
Drink too much orange juice and give you ulcers, cause,
right.
The erosion of your esophagus or something like that.
Yeah.
It's about, and honestly, the air that we breathe is probably worse than anything else anyways.
And nobody seems to be overly concerned about that at all, do they?
No, you're 100% on that.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that, just like, trying to understand what's going on, about this theory, is that back in the day, they used to put lead in the gasoline, and I realized that, hey, we can't vaporize metals and such. But the thing is, it increased the fuel economy and the longevity of the engine and such.
Huh.
Well, what they've done is with the nano aluminum, they put it into the jet fuel, and it's just like with any manufacturing plant. If you have pollutants, you build a higher smokestack, depending on it.
That's so funny. It's funny because it's true,
Yeah, and that's the thing is, what people need to realize is hey, this world is a stage, and everything that they're doing is a freaking joke. And just find your role, and really just enjoy yourself.
There is the option to enjoy yourself, and you should absolutely take that option a lot, every chance you get, more or less. But there seems to be a higher duty at this time. I mean, you know this because otherwise you're otherwise.
He's such a professional.
You wouldn't be fighting on the YouTube the way you do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But you have to take your time, and the truth is, okay, one of the contractual parts of coming to this planet, when you come here, one of the things that you're promised is that there's always something right in front of you for you to enjoy. Okay, so all you people that are just hating your life, you have tunnel vision. You're not looking at everything. Okay, because right in front of you, there's something to enjoy. What's that?
I'm sorry. I was saying, adding to your thought, prison is a state of mind, and that's one of the biggest problems with the public educational system is that they try to keep us too logical, and when they keep us in a left hemisphere of the mind, and that's why they try to ban the use of the left hand back in the day because they utilized the right hemisphere, which was the creative part. And the thing is that a lot more people are becoming creatively logical. And unfortunately, what we've created is a bunch of liberal arts students in this world that don't really end up, but they haven't found themselves yet, and following stupid little trends.
Right on. I'm not sure. You lost me there a little bit with the liberal.
I've been going on little tangents and stuff, but I've been through a little bit of business and whatnot. I'm actually a veteran, and the last 7 years have been actually truly a crime. And anyone that goes against the system, I know firsthand, it's not an easy fight.
Yeah.
And that's part to reason why they keep us in this, you know, they keep us in our boxes and such, you know, and like people don't even have to interact face to face anymore.
Well, they keep us in our boxes. They keep us in our boxes because they don't want us communicating with each other. Which is why YouTube becomes more and more complicated just to get your message out to people, because YouTube doesn't want, you know, you or I or anyone who has, as you're saying, creative, logical thinking, is you know, dangerous to the powers that be. You know, because you actually can spread that to other people. You can spread your creative, logical thinking to other people. And then all of a sudden, instead of everything just being black and white, there's colors. And you know what? Colors and flavors are bad.
Yes. And you're 100% on that. You know, and you know, they preach rainbow and this, that, and the other. And real quick, like, you know, if you're not hurting anybody else in the process of, you know, your own living, you're not bothering me. You know, like, that's my philosophy. You know, it's when, you know, other people start impeding on, you know, one's ability to live. And but yeah, you know, talking about, you know, just seeing a color, you know, using the rainbow and stuff, like, you know, they always just try to, you know, teach us certain, you know, like with the politics, it's red and blue. There's only, you know, and so you're choosing a side for stuff, and it's a color coded system, and so, you know, as soon as you know, you see a red hat, all of a sudden you're like, you know, you're just waiting to see "Make America Great Again" on it or something like that, and so it triggers people, even though it might be like a Chicago Reds hat,
yeah,
or I'm not really a big sports fan and stuff, so
yeah.
But it just kind of already gives people that preconceived notion of, well, it's prejudgment, it's prejudice.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going through, and it, you know, on the left and right, all down the middle and stuff. And
it's all programmed in, though. I mean, this is the way that they want it, and people are eating it up and then dishing it back out exactly as they were programmed to do.
And that's what's happened with YouTube, is that they're, you know, changing algorithms so they're, you know, they can control your thinking and such. You know, they're television programming. They're telling us especially what they want us to think. You know, it's all part of, you know, without trying to, I mean, it's actual experiments and stuff. You know, MK Ultra, you know, it's a form of mind control. You know, like, you see like a lot of countdowns with like sports shows and TV, like, you know, here's the top 10 highlights, and they flash you like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then all of a sudden they do 10 and flash right in front of your face, and they start counting down. It's a form of hypnosis, and people don't realize that. And you know, then you have Operation Mockingbird, which is, you know, the government infiltration of mass media to create, you know, self-propaganda. I mean, I'm you know, a veteran of the, you know, kind of a veteran of the global war on terrorism, and you know, and it's like, you know, it's kind of hard to sleep after you know, you wake up and realize your whole life is a lie, you know, type of thing. And there's a lot of us out there, you know, and a lot of, you know, just people in general who are woke by all this. They create the internet, not realizing that we're going to take it over. And that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to decentralize, you know, trying to take the internet out of hinge. And, sorry, I didn't even get my soapbox.
It's all good. It's all good. No, I that's what I'm saying, is that they want us in the little groups, and they want to control our speech, you know, and it's obvious. It's been coming a long time. You know, I mean, you can see it with the you know, Alex Jones. I mean, once they censored Alex Jones, it's like now it's just free range on just cutting off anybody because they talk about things that we don't want them talking about. That's all there is to it.
Well, you know, and that goes, you know, back to, you know, like part of the reason, like, well, my channel is, I get kicked out of 4 different colleges. I was actually living in Kent, Washington, and I went to what was it, Green River Community College first, and this guy, Daniel J. Garcia, was one of my instructors, and I you know, pretty much got him fired. He was right in the process of being investigated and stuff. I mean, there's news articles on this guy. but that's the thing is, so I had a target on my back, and never owned a firearm or anything like that in my life. Just when I was in the service, I was, I had a property of one and such. But tried to use my veteran shots against me so many different times, and come out every single time, like with my, still alive and not incarcerated or freaking. But the thing is that they're targeting us, veterans, big time, especially the ones that I'm every man with a brain that scares the hell out of a lot of people. I turn my rifle into a pen, and I've done a lot of research and stuff, and so like that makes me a threat to the society, in a nutshell, because and this is not about white supremacy or anything like that, but the thing is that I'm a white male veteran, and we are the target of like Luther Timothy McVeigh. He was a white male, and believed in the Constitution, and became something else. So.
Well, I think you're right. I think that they're targeting veterans like almost like they're a danger to society. Especially if they have weapons. And it's not right because they just all they are people who did a job trying to do the right thing by our country, and now because we led them into a war based on lies,
100%.
For the sole purpose of making the rich people more rich, and I guess destroying the Middle East. I guess it was actually the purpose. The purpose was to create a battlefield that the war profiteers could profiteer off for generations to come. That's obvious,
Well, Saddam Hussein, controlled the Middle East, and the thing is that when we uncooled him, that created a vacuum for everything that kind of led up to where we're at today and whatnot. But and sorry for like the way I was just trying to explain. I could put too much emotion into my last statement, and what it comes down to is that the global war on terrorism, the veterans of this war, we are the volunteer generation. There was no draft needed. The Americans fulfilling its Department of Defense duties and whatnot. This isn't like, we're not Vietnam veterans, and the only people that are, the global or the World War II veterans. They're the greatest generation. It was volunteer generation. The thing is that what's happened is, a lot of males, even a lot of service members that enter the force, they're alphas. And the thing is that you have to have a state of mind. It's part of our, our breed and whatnot. And it's not about, saying that I'm better than you because, we all just have a job and such. And when we feel like there's a job that needs to be done, we take the bull by the horns. And that poses a threat because the last thing we need is freaking for organized people to, especially from, we've been in war for 18 years. There's
right.
A lot of veterans coming out and whatnot. And the last thing we need to do is work like the American wants, well, the governments want, the deep state wants, is for us to organize. And the thing is that there's a lot of people that are just restless, even in the middle. They're just like, they don't care about Trump. They don't care about the Democrats. They just want their dollar to go further. That's it. They want a future.
I just want to live my life. I don't care about the Republicans. I don't care about the Democrats. What I care about is the people that are going to fight for freedom. Okay? Because that's like you. You stepped up to fight for freedom. Your volunteer generation stepped up to fight for freedom. Where are the politicians that do that? There's no politicians that do that.
Yeah, the thing is, there's no obligation for you to do what you do. The thing is that, I can never be a figure skater. But there's someone that can do that, and you know what? And hey, I can appreciate that. Not everyone can be a hammer, not everyone can be a screwdriver. Everyone has their own little job and such, and in their own little place. And and that's the thing is that what makes the team so well is how we work together. And you're sharing information, you're spreading the truth, you're trying to help get people together and whatnot. And the thing is, they're trying to take your platform, they're trying to take your soapbox. Everyone deserves the right to a corner, of the internet and be able to stand on their soapbox and have the free, the same opportunities as everyone else. Whether it's big money or no money, that's the power of the internet, is that there is, it is a free market.
It has been, but it seems like, the areas, like you're saying, that are the giant soapboxes like YouTube. I mean, I dominated the news in YouTube from the beginning. And then YouTube, and then Google was like, oh, we can't have this. And it was just, they just fucked me 7 ways from Sunday, man. And
well, because you're not able to monetize any of your stuff, are you?
No. And they don't like that. I mean, I've served 800 million views off the YouTube with no monetization at all. And they don't like that. That just cost them nothing but money.
Well, I mean, right. Well, the thing is, and that's like bullshit. Because we have, like, all of a sudden, like, the local person is competing with these multi-billion-dollar media giants, and they're like, oh, hey, well, look at this platform. We're just going to come in here and take it over and start promoting things, and we're just going to use this as streaming service. Right. We're going to push all these people out.
Right. Why the hell? Right, exactly. Why the hell does fucking Fox News need to be on YouTube? Why the hell does CNN need to be on YouTube? They got plenty of money. They can afford their own goddamn bandwidth.
Exactly. Like, they have their own websites and stuff. And the thing is, okay, dude, they should be allowed to advertise on theirs.
What I was trying to explain is the colonization of these big industries on the internet and why we need a trust buster. And I'm trying to do that job, even though I'm not the best of the internet. I strongly support those who make my internet the internet. Oh, fuck. Give me tech fucking names.
But to have, like, channels like that and stuff, like, no, that kind of, I mean, I'm not saying they should be banned in this stuff, but the thing is, like, it shouldn't be held in the same category as just the average, YouTuber.
Right. YouTube is supposed to be about you and I, not about these giant fucking corporations. That's why YouTube was on the fucking on the cover of Time magazine as like Man of the Year or whatever, Person of the Year, and it was just like a reflective mylar cover, like just it looked like a mirror, because it was YouTube, not fucking giant corporation tube.
And that's the thing, is that if you help, especially your channel, all the views that you've received, you helped the bottom line of YouTube, essentially, because you've proven, like, that you're able to drive, viewers, to your channel and such. And, so, like, that people are watching their stuff, and like, when you're, going to these other people saying, like, hey, we need a little bit more money to, or this is how much advertising costs on here, look how many views we've got. You're part of, like that bottom line figure of the views to help them get money. But, what's happened? They use that money that we help them get, not to make the channel better, they made it worse.
Yeah. What Google has done with YouTube is horrible, and it just it should just be any other fucking corporate website. It's not about the people anymore, and it's just not right. It's because it was a beautiful thing. It really was. It was like, wow, this is the greatest website ever, and then they just fucked it all up.
I mean, I really started after, being active on Facebook in 2008 and stuff when I enlisted in the Army, and it was a very powerful tool back then. And then over the years, it just became a social weapon.
Yeah.
And like, I just started using it more for news and like maybe like contacts, but like, that's something that got corporatized that was once a beautiful thing.
It's too bad. I really, back in the day, I used to really just thrive on it. It was such a good thing. It was, to come out and see what's going on, and and now they won't even let you see how many subscribers you have. That's just such bullshit.
Like, because like my comments on my own channel, like that I post, they want to show up.
Yeah, it's beyond bullshit, dude. It's just not. It's not. There's something wrong with the people running this website, and they should fuck off. They should go work at the fucking for-profit prison industry, because I'm sure they fit in real well there.
Yeah, no kidding. And that's what it comes down to. It's all about the crony capitalism. Every time there's a free market that develops, crony capitalists come in and fuck it up. Part of my mouth, but like that's exactly what happens.
They want to know what the people in the chat room want to know what your YouTube channel is.
Oh, it's Matthew Meditz. It's my name. And I have a lot of channels on there. I've used my channel as my own big brother because I'm like I said, I'm an outspoken, disgruntled veteran, and I've been through the system and stuff. And I'm actually in the process of. I just hired a lawyer yesterday for a lawsuit that I'm filing against my property manager and the corporate establishment behind them for. They tried to evict me without an unlawful eviction, to say the least. And they tried that twice. And the first time, I didn't have to speak, and it got dismissed. The second time, she didn't even show up to represent herself because she knew she was going to lose, and so she just didn't even try. So, I'm finally getting my stride back and stuff. But, like one thing, if you allow me, just about, climate change and stuff, I just made a very big discovery and whatnot about, I knew about it back in the day and stuff. I've done research on it, but, things just started making sense. They were trying to nuclearize Antarctica back in the 40s and 50s and whatnot, through Colonel Byrd or Admiral Byrd and whatnot, his expeditions. And the thing is that they were, talking about how expedited global warming that was taking place, or the melting of the ice sheets. And the thing is that what would happen is it would change the climate of the southern hemisphere. And what's been happening is, you look at Australia right now, they're going through a tremendous drought and whatnot. And this is man-made. And that's why I'm saying it's like, you and me, we're not creating the carbon footprint. It's the militarization of the world. And they burn more fuel than, than anything else combined and such, and so it's like a constant volcano going off with the military-industrial complex.
Yeah,
so I just want people to, really understand, like, don't drink the Kool-Aid with this, like they're saying that it's our problem. The thing is that they turn us into consumers. And the thing is that plastic is a byproduct of the petroleum process.
Right.
And just like asphalt and, just like gasoline and, it's a byproduct of this one resource that they sell for $50 a barrel, and then they make freaking, over $10,000 off of it. I mean, that's what it comes down to, and there's so many resources down in Antarctica, mountains of coal mines. Like, you don't even have to dig. It's already there and whatnot. Just show me and four people to check out the Colonel Byrd expeditions.
Yeah. And
that's going to help people, really make sense of things, because we're not being told the truth about Antarctica at all. And they're like, it's a south, like that controls the climate just like the North Pole does. So, but sorry for going off on a tangent.
It's all good, bro. So can you leave a comment in the chat room?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna freaking get off the line here.
If you can leave a comment in the chat room, then people can know what your YouTube page is.
I'll jump in the chat and BS from there and stuff. But continue on.
Right
on. I'm glad finally got to speak to you after all these years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thanks a bunch for calling, Matt. I appreciate you calling.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too. Stay cool. Okay, let's see. They're gonna come up again?
Scott Steiner, it's going to be a three-way for the TNA heavyweight title at Sacrifice between you, Kurt Angle, and Samoa Joe. Now, before you get there, you have an important step tonight as you and X Division champion Petey Williams take on the unlikely duo of Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe.
You know, they say all men are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Samoa Joe, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down. See, the three-way at Sacrifice, you got a 33 and a third chance of winning. But I got a 66 and two-thirds chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even going to try. So, Samoa Joe, you take...
You get that, Stacy Peters, you bitch?
Your 33 and a third chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning at Sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning, if we used to go one-on-one, and then add 66 and two-thirds percent, I got 141 and two-thirds chance of winning at Sacrifice. See, Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Sacrifice. See, but I'm going to break it down for all you ladies. Would you rather be with me, or would you rather be with Joe?
Well, I think Joe's kind of nice. I mean, you know.
See, you're one of those girls that like romance. I'm going to talk to all my freaks out there. Would you rather come home to me, a genetic freak, to be satisfied every night, or go home to that fat-ass Samoa Joe? See, tonight, we're going to win, and I'm going to be the world champion at Sacrifice. Come on, Pete. Let's go.
Scotty, just like you always say, Big Papa Pump has got your hookup. Well, Maple Leaf Muscle is who you need to look up. Holler if you hear that.
Yeah, right.
So the fun thing with the serpent is, how does a serpent talk?
That's how it rolls, yo. So freaking keeping it real, man.